So I just read Quenta Silmarillion, so part 3 out of the Silmarillion, the longest part, where mainly I don't want to say, yeah, I don't know if it's where most of this stuff is happening, because I just have not read the rest yet, but my guess is this is where, most of the things are happening actually. And it's basically the story of the Silmaril. So my guess is, that's where the title, not my guess, but, that's where the title of the book is coming from, essentially. Silmarillion is the story of the Silmaril. Actually, I don't know why there's no TV shows or movies about that, because this was amazing. There's so much stuff happening. There's treason, there's love, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of torture and everything happening in that part of the book. And yeah, at times it felt like Game of Thrones, because of all the people that are dying and main characters, not necessarily main characters, but really important characters just dies. And there's no good guys in here. Like, this is not necessarily a complaint I have against the Lord of the Rings, because I really enjoy the Lord of the Rings, but it's us against evil, essentially, in Lord of the Rings. It's all rather black and white, but here, not really. The good guys are not that good in here. And yeah, I really enjoyed that actually. Morally gray characters are the best in my opinion. And in here, all the characters just felt like these shades of gray actually. And all characters were compelling. I don't remember the name of all characters. I don't remember. I remember some of them and places also, because there's so many places, so many characters. It's almost impossible to remember everything. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really care for everybody, every places that we saw. I cared about everything actually. I really enjoyed that. So on with the story. So that was my little intro thingy uh, about it. But on with the story. Essentially, Melkor stole the Silmaril, and a bunch of elves gathered together and wants to take them back because they created the Silmaril and they want to retrieve these jewels and have them for themselves. Essentially, the Valar wants the Silmarillion as well because of some stuff that happened. Essentially, Melkor killing the trees that were the lights of the Valar, and the Silmaril are the last light that they've got, and they want to retrieve it, but the elves don't want to give it to the Valar. They want to have it for themselves, essentially. So once again, the elves are supposed to be all high and mighty, these kind of image of perfection, but they're not really because they're greedy and they're just doing some really bad stuff at the start of this section actually. I really enjoyed that, really, because it felt like how real people would react. Like, if you have something that you don't want to lose, you're not going to give it to the gods or whatever, even if they're asking you for it. If you really care about something that you yourself have created and is near perfection, it in this case is actually perfect, you'll want to keep it for yourself actually. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. And so the elves took an oath to retrieve the Silmaril, and from that oath, a lot of stuff is going to happen. A lot of bad stuff actually is going to happen until one person, so Arendil, asked for forgiveness from the Valar actually. He's not an elf, he's a human in love with an elf, and he's the father of Elrond. and he's the guy that asks for forgiveness from the Valar. So Elrond don't have a huge part in this. Galadriel also not. And I understand why, because it's not really their story. It's like their father's story, so the people that were there before them. So Galadriel is not taking part with the oath thingy and everything. She just wants to go to Middle Earth to have her kingdom. Essentially, that's kind of her reason to go into Middle Earth, not necessarily to retrieve the Silmaril, actually. But that's mainly the story, just a guy that stole 3 jewels and created a whole bunch of problems from it. So it's really cool. I really like that concept, how 3 small things, so they're just, I don't know how big they are, but he's so Morgoth is wearing them on his crown, so I would guess like 3 small diamonds or something like this. And I really enjoyed how small objects can create so much trouble, and it's a concept that's taken once again into the Lord of the Rings, how small people can make a difference. Even if they feel like they're insignificant, they still can change the course of history. It's kind of the same thing here, but bad, not good, as in the Lord of the Rings. But yeah, once again, going back to what I said at the start of the video, I don't know why there's not more stuff from that part of history. So I guess the first stage, the Silmarillion, mainly because there's so much stuff happening. There's so many opportunities to do good TV shows or good movies out of that. I don't understand why they've not done it yet. I mean, there's 5 wars, spanning over 500 years of story of just that, just fight for power and fight for jewels and glory and everything. There's, as I said, corruption, there's treason, there's a lot of thieves stealing jewels from other people, not necessarily the Silmarils, but other stuff. There's other magical stuff in here that people are just, I don't know. And there's a lot of death. God, a lot of people are dying from these wars and these. There's a lot of fighting between races, between families. There's a lot of tension here. I just don't understand why we're not seeing it, because we're not seeing TV shows and movies done from that, because I think there's a lot of good material in here. But here there's no good guys, so you're kind of rooting for morally gray characters every time. Even if you kind of feel attached to somebody, don't get too attached to that person, because that person's gonna die probably in here. But even if you get attached to somebody, they do some questionable things. So I really enjoyed that. That's it for that review. To be honest, it's really good. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did. I knew I would enjoy it because I enjoyed The Lord of the Rings. But man, this is so good. This is, I cannot stress enough how good that was. Actually, I can't wait to read part 4. I think there's kind of 5 part, because the last part is the creation of the rings. So mainly Rings of Power show. But next up will be the second age, I think, so part 4. And then part 5 is kind of the third age, so when the events of the Lord of the Rings take place. I might do just one review of part 4 and 5. So Akalabeth, I'm sorry, I wrote it in here. Akalabeth, yes. Sorry about that. The names are hard to pronounce at times. That's it for the review of the book. So next up, tomorrow, I'll be talking about episode 5 and 6 of the Rings of Power. I just finished watching episode 6 right before filming this video. So coming tomorrow will be that. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.